All right, traders, it is the 21st of October, 2017. We're looking at a daily vertical bar chart of First Solar Inc. It's traded on the NASDAQ. The ticker is FSLR. And I still think this is accumulation structure. I think it's very attractive. The prices or demand was able to overcome supply and trade above this pivot defined by the preliminary support, selling climax, automatic reaction, and selling secondary test. So it's always hard when we're trying to define a Wyckoff structure and it's not on a kind of the typical, linear kind of horizontal support and resistance that we have. But I think that's still what we have. We do have, some selling climax. We can see that not really that supply has contracted until we've actually started actual markup. But we can see that the effort is still there, but the down waves are shortening, right? The down thrusts are shortening. In other words, the same downward effort is being put into the pushing First Solar down. However, we're making not higher lows, but it's having less of an influence on downward price discovery. And that's because bulls are there to absorb that supply. So this is bullish absorption. I think this was the fact that bulls were accumulating this stock First Solar on the way down. And I guarantee you, if they're assuming the risk and they're accumulating this on the way down, I find it very doubtful that they're going to take profits right here. And I'd also suggest that if all this volume was involved in kind of absorbing that supply that's present, it's not reflected here on this attempt to the upside. So this looks like it's still being held by strong hands. So we do have a shakeout here. I think this would be our jump across the creek and a minor sign of strength. And at this point here, demand is able to overcome this pivot. Now we finally have a major sign of strength. And what we're lacking is a true backup to confirm this price level resistance here as support. So I think that we have we're trading in phase D, but we're missing that throwback, that back test. And I think that we can see that we do have some minor kind of climactic buying. Price is able to wash out the support that's here. That might be a sign of weakness. Up thrust. Supply overcomes demand here. It's a lower low, and we're seeing less participation on the up thrust. So I think we're seeing some minor distribution. This is I'd probably reference a 1 hour or 2 hour time frame. So I think that daily we're seeing some accumulation. We're beginning a markup. I think on the 1 to 2 hour time frame we're seeing some distribution. And that would put us into a markdown on the lower time frame, which would likely give us a price objective here around $40, which would put us into the demand line of the bullish ascending channel and the rising 200-day simple moving average. So I like that. If you just use moving averages, you can appreciate that we've lost the 20-day and the 50-day simple moving average, which would imply potentially that we'd back test the 100 and the 200-day simple moving average. So no matter how you look at this, it looks like it's a great stock moving forward. I hate to say it, I'll use great stock loosely. Looks like it's a great speculative trade here moving forward, but I think we need to be a little bit more disciplined in our entry and really try to buy support that's here. If we look at the index here, I'm going to reference TAN. So if we look at TAN, which is the ETF, the solar ETF, I do see signs of absorption. In other words, there's lots of supply that's present, but it had no downward price discovery. So I would suggest that excuse me, maybe potentially bullish absorption. But the doji that we finished here on the week says that it's still a little too early to take a trade. There's some indecision. That indecision may result in a back test that tests these sessions. And if that's the case, that may very well result in First Solar also pulling back. So I would say exercise some patience and look for an opportunity to buy the dip. We want to see that there is no supply, that there's again not a lot of weak hands on this back test. If that's the case and then we see an expansion of volume again off that base support, we're buyers.